Once you have your children, your life forever changes, including simple experiences like dining out. Although places like McDonald's and Chuck E. Cheese may offer a more playful environment for kids, it doesn't mean you have to avoid the finer restaurants when eating out with the family. But knowing how to make it a pleasant experience for you and your little ones and those dining around you may take a little practice, which is why we invited Parce Ainsworth, a communications and travel specialist, to offer guidance. Hi, Parce.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being on the show.
Happy to be here.
We both have kids, so this is near and dear to our hearts.
Absolutely.
And I know you said before we started that you have a 4-year-old, so you're right in the heat of this.
Absolutely. We've gone through this and we're still going through it.
Still working on it.
That's right.
So it's a work in progress, number one.
Absolutely.
We like that.
Throughout their whole lives, that you're with them, yes.
Even as they're adults.
That's right. Well, it can be.
So what age really do you think is good for a child to start venturing out into restaurants?
I think that for informal restaurants, you can start them when they're babies. You can go to diners, you can go to McDonald's, you can go to those types of restaurants. But you do have to realize that you have an obligation to the other diners there.
Sure.
So if the child starts to cry and starts to have a meltdown, you need to take the child out of the situation. And then depending on the maturity level of the child, I think from 3 to 4, you can start going to restaurants that are a little more formal.
Got it. So 3 or 4 is a good place to start.
Yeah, depending on their maturity level.
And what do we do next? How do we prepare our child?
I think that if you go in with an expectation that it's going to be successful, that you're going to have a nice time, I think that things go well. And I think you have to communicate that to your child and tell them what to expect and what behaviors you expect of them.
So setting a precedence before I'm even in the restaurant is a great place to start. Like that we're going to go to a restaurant and this is how you really need to behave, this is what I expect of you kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely. That's what to do.
And I like what you said about, the parents really set the precedence of it. If you say it's going to be a positive thing, it's gonna.
Yes, it will be.
But if you're going to it negative, you're probably going to get the result you're looking for.
Right, and children pick up on that, and they read your moods better than you think that they do.
So be positive.
Absolutely.
Start with that. I like that. Now, what types of things do you discuss with my child at the table?
Well, I think that you should use the experience as a learning experience. And definitely engage them in conversation and talk to them about the foods that they're eating. You can talk to them about how the table is set. You can talk to them about putting their napkins on their laps and turn it into an etiquette lesson.
I like that because this is good because this is what we do with our napkins. This is how we hold our utensils.
And you have to start that early. And then from there, once they get the groundwork, then you build from there. And this is a perfect opportunity to do it.
To start learning those manners.
Yes.
It's all about manners. We're losing sight of that these days, and it's really good. It's a very important thing to have manners.
Absolutely.
As a child and an adult.
Yes. Well, it'll help you as an adult.
Right? Now, what about some general do's and don'ts for the restaurant?
Well, I think that you should make sure the child is comfortable. Don't put them in something that they are going to be scratching and itching.
Uncomfortable.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Also, make sure the child is well rested. Do make sure that the child, is not coming to the table so hungry that they don't know what to do with themselves.
Starving to death, right.
So you have to do that. And then also don't expect that this will be a time to try new foods. I think you have to do this within reason. Yet if they want to try something from your plate, then let them try something from your plate.
Got it.
And also do bring diversions with you.
Know it. Which is always great.
Right. And I would say anything from coloring books and crayons and this type of thing to a favorite toy. I would stop short of bringing a portable DVD player, because
I agree with that.
Yeah, that can be very obtrusive to other diners.
Sure, and I've seen that before, and it gets me crazy. I'm going, what?
Right. Well, most people don't have the TV in the dining room anyway.
Exactly. So good. So coloring books, all that kind of stuff. Activities, really, for them to do.
Exactly.
So if the adults are tempted to just get wrapped up in the conversation, at least my poor little kid there sitting by him or herself has something to do.
Right.
All right.
And that's the other thing. Don't get so wrapped up in also conversation. Do talk to them and let them know that they're part of the table and part of the group.
Because that's so easy to do. You get all involved in your friends and the chitter chatter.
Right.
Your poor little kid might be sitting there going, hello.
Or sometimes the expectation, if there's another child, that those two will just play. And I think that if you're at a table, you have everyone participating.
Yeah, I like that too. That's really good. Engage them, bring them into it, and maybe even ask them about the food or the environment or how you like it, kind of of thing.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Now, what about dining with my child outside my own city or country?
Well, this is something that you need to sort of do research on before you do it.
Okay.
As most of us who are in the New York area know, New York, if you go into a nice restaurant with small children, people just wince.
New York, not really a kid-friendly place.
No. So you have, if you're going to another city, you should really check out to see, either talk to a friend who lives there, or talk to a concierge at a hotel, and they'll let you know. And they will be able to gauge the restaurants as well.
Good one.
For example, Los Angeles is very child-friendly. So that's
Why is that? Do you know? Or?
I just think it's more child-centric city. I think that they enjoy children a little bit more.
And they're a little laid back.
Right. It's not as single a town, I think, as New York is. That's just my opinion.
I hear you on that one.
And then if you go internationally, if you're dining in Paris, for example, talk again about how the place setting is, because it's going to be different than it is in the U.S.
Got it.
They also use their utensils differently, so talk about that and tell the child. Yes, tell the child that this is the way the Europeans would eat, this is the way Americans eat.
Very neat.
And so it exposes them to that.
So that's a learning experience not only for your child, but the adult,
absolutely,
too.
Yes.
That's fun. And I really like your tip about the concierge, because they're the ones that have the real deal on restaurants.
Right, and they'll and follow their lead because they do know.
Start with them. I like that, because they always have the insider information.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? You're the go-to people. I know that one. Now, what about keeping the kids still at the table? Well, itchy pants.
As you know, that can be a challenge.
Sure.
So you're going to have to explore a lot around the restaurant, and maybe even outside a little bit, depending on what the weather's like.
Got it.
But don't get upset if the child wants to look at the bar, go around and check out the cloakroom, check out the waiter station. It's just going to happen. You might have to make 10 trips to the bathroom. Hopefully not.
Yes.
But some will be legitimate, some will not be legitimate. But you just have to go with them.
But that's fun too. I like that. At least, because it kind of makes them feel a little bit more comfortable, and the exploration is really fun.
Yes.
It's fun for me too, right? And anyone else, because you get to check things out, and you can use your child as the excuse.
Absolutely.
Right? I want to see back here, I want to see back there. How can my kids see that?
Yeah, and if it's your favorite restaurant, it's great, because they'll remember that, and they'll want to go back to that place as well.
And then the wait staff will remember you too, maybe, and be really encouraged and say, because that's happened to me a few times. You come back, and they bring them into the kitchen.
Yes, and that's the other thing. Engage the wait staff when you're out with children, and help them make the child feel at ease, and make it a nice experience for them.
Good.
So.
Now, what happens if my kid is having a meltdown? What do we do? It's so embarrassing. I'm just thinking about it, going, oh no. Do you just get out of there or what?
Well, all parents have experienced this, and you can have the best expectations and you can have the best behaved child, but there are times when you have to take the walk of shame outside the restaurant.
You do. And it's okay.
And it's okay.
It is.
And I think it's actually better to do the walk of shame than it is to stay in the restaurant and just let the child have the meltdown. I think if you can't get a situation under control after about 3 minutes,
that's the
then you just no negotiation, you just no discussion, pick up the child and you walk outside, or walk somewhere that you're out of earshot of the other diners.
Right.
And if you can, try to get the situation under control.
Okay.
Find out what's causing the meltdown. It might be something very simple, and if you can fix it, fix it. Sometimes it's not simple. Sometimes you're just out past the child's bedtime.
Exactly. They're just tired and can't take it anymore. But sometimes even just removing yourself to the car for a little while could cure that.
Absolutely.
And then you can rejoin.
Absolutely.
But every once in a while, you can just get out of there.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's a good message, too, for a child to know that this is not tolerated and we're out of here.
Right.
So maybe next time they'll be thinking about that. If I misbehave, I'm going to be getting out of here.
Right.
So maybe I want to behave.
Exactly.
So those are good tips.
Exactly.
Good. Thank you so much. This was great. This is good. I'm very excited. I was pretty lucky with my daughter, but I've seen the meltdown and and I've also seen the people actually keeping their child in the restaurant.
Yes, and that's just uncomfortable for everybody.
Sure.
You feel bad for the parents, you feel bad for the child.
Exactly. So we want to keep it a win-win situation for everybody.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Great.
Appreciate it.